Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Wednesday, May 22nd, around 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time 2024. Deadly tornadoes strike Iowa and are now threatening areas east of the region from Vermont to Texas. We have a large plasma filament facing Earth that could lead to a coronal mass ejection. And we're shifting to La Nina. What does that mean for the weather? All this and more coming soon. Keep calm. It's boom time. The big story, tornado spawning storms left multiple people dead in Iowa and now threaten cities from Texas to Vermont. The damage is extreme and the death toll is palpable in the region. Killer tornadoes slam Iowa, more severe weather possible across the U.S. Authorities were still counting the dead and wounded in this small southwestern Iowa town Wednesday, hours after a series of tornadoes and powerful storms smashed through several Midwestern states, killing multiple residents and injuring at least a dozen. Tornado storm damage and power outages were also reported in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Illinois. The National Weather Service was reviewing almost 24 tornado reports in 4 states, where 100,000 homes and businesses were without power early Wednesday. Power outage U.S. showing most of the power is back on in the Midwest or the upper Midwest, even in the northern plains. Wisconsin is the only stricken state here with 17,000 customers without power. Tennessee has 12,000 and 10,000 in Ohio. But Texas, the nexus of the schmecks, is still 145,000 without power. Days, almost a week after the derecho hit the state, specifically Houston. So what is going on? Well, we've got huge space weather events adding insult to injury to weather events. And this is all due to the deepening grand minima, that the solar shutdown, and the magnetic reversal, leading to all of these effects. And a quick walkthrough of some of the damage from Iowa. It is completely devastating. Here's a walkthrough of the worst parts hit in Greenfield, where the entire city was mostly decimated. And this was some of the earliest footage coming out from storm chasers on the ground that literally go out there to help the citizenry recover anything that they may, looking to see if they can help out the situation. Complete devastation here. And if you follow us at Oppenheimer Ranch Project, at Diamond the Dave on X, formerly Twitter, you can watch all of this yourself. Let's hear what she has to say.
Time I have ever prayed in my life. And I didn't the only time I have ever prayed in my life. And I didn't even get the words, "Dear Lord," out before it was over. I felt the stare hit me, and then it was gone. I didn't think a tornado was gonna hit, I never do. One of my friends, she hates storms, so I wanted to make sure she was okay. And her husband, or fiance, said, "I'm coming to get you." And that's when I knew it was probably bad. I grabbed my baby, wrapped her in a blanket, and we took off running and ended up at his house. He threw us in the basement, and me, my daughter, her uncle, my friend, and their son were all huddled up, covering each other. We were watching the radar news thing that my friend Bailey had, and I could see it coming, and then I felt the pressure change. And that's when I covered her son. And her fiance said, "Get down." So we all huddled together and we all covered the kids. One of their staircases fell on me, and I was covering so it didn't hit any of the kids or anyone. And I was more concerned about getting everyone out so we could get up to the hospital, because my daughter was bleeding a little bit, and I was more concerned about that than anything.
But everybody escaped,
yeah,
basically almost without a scratch.
Yeah.
It's everything I've ever had. Years. But at the end of the day, as long as they're okay, it's garbage. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
It certainly doesn't matter at the end of the day if you're still alive. but you still have to deal with the complete destruction of your entire life. Now, I've dealt with that multiple times. Some of you know my history, but it's heartbreaking to see people that don't deserve the destruction in their lives to just sneak up on them like this. An entire city leveled in Iowa. Now, imagine the guilt in some of the people whose houses were completely unaffected. Now, you see we're moving up a line where the tornado moved. This is straight up the line. We're going to show you some footage from that in just a minute here, because it tore a path of destruction that is extremely visible from Earth. Let's take a look at this. This is a helicopter view of the line of the path of destruction. It's definitely EF3 in my opinion. Could be EF4, but nonetheless, a pretty narrow, extremely strong tornado, unfortunately. Our hearts and prayers go out to all those affected. This is such extreme damage. It's unimaginable. The death toll is much lower than expected because these people are in a region where they know how to get out of harm's way. You saw that young lady earlier and a bunch of people that had tens of minutes to get to safety. And that's what people do in these regions. Why they live here is anyone's guess. Why you would live with a storm shelter? It might be cheap, but the consequences are exponential. Well, enough doom and gloom for now, but we're going to show you some more doom and gloom. Colorado County torn apart by baseball-size hail. We've shown you day after day reports of this insane hail coming down that we predicted almost a decade ago. Yuma County, Colorado now is licking their wounds after a destructive hailstorm wreaked havoc on the night of Monday, May 20th, and video footage is coming out. Knee-deep in hail in small Colorado town calls for heavy equipment, snow shovels to clear the insane amount of hail. The storm hit Yuma as torrential rain, high winds, and large hail pummeled neighboring states as a round of new storms threatened more of the Midwest on Tuesday, which was a lose day. That's not snow blanketing the ground. That's hail in Yuma. And you can see some of the vehicles here buried in that extreme hail event. Small mountain town. And this is, well, pretty typical, moderately rare, let's say. But a lot of hail indeed as we approach June, no less. Severe thunderstorms and fierce winds, as well as hail possible in New Jersey. And we're about to get to the full forecast. But before we do, let's discuss the rapid shift from triple dip El Nino to the new pattern La Nina. Yeah, as the fearmongers claim, the oceans will never cool. It's happening in a spectacular way now as the equatorial waters are cooling rapidly into La Nina. We are in a transitional zone, so this summer should be the transition to La Nina. And what we can glean from past events, this is science, we're about to do it. What we're looking at is the composite of 2016, 2010, 2007, 1998, and 1995. These are all shifts from El Nino to La Nina years. Not full La Nina, just the shift years. And so this could be what we could expect for the summer of 2024, a cooler than average West. And we can finally let those Californians stop squawking about climate change because it will be colder than normal. Everyone in the East, specifically here, the moderate Midwest, which I like to call, from, let's say, Michigan south to Mississippi, that is going to be the hottest zone for this summer. What a bummer. And that means more tornadoes, more hail, and more severe weather in the spring as we transition to summer. What a bummer. Let's look at the full forecast now. Severe weather and hazardous heat across portions of the southern U.S. Heads up. Severe storms with large hail, wind damage, and a few tornadoes will be likely today across the southern plains and Ark-La-Tex. Isolated severe storms will be possible today across the mid-Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes. A dangerous early season heat wave will continue this week and expand from South Texas through portions of the central Gulf Coast by this weekend. So heed the warnings. Click on your counties for more information on the incoming weather. Let's take a quick look at the GFS model here, and you can see the extreme weather is now limited to the southern portion, Texas, Arkansas, southern Oklahoma. Next 3 hours, it's going to explode through southern Arkansas into Louisiana, but then peter off by morning, which is good news. A secondary storm tomorrow will pop up in the same region, and it looks less severe. But look what's happening up in the Central Plains and the upper Midwest here. Holy macaroni, that could be some severe weather that moves up into Canada by early this weekend. Let's take a look at the total precipitated snow, shall we? It's going to be quite epic in the high elevations. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. There it is. All that snow is laid down. And another event is going to be coming in here at the end of May, hey, before we hit summer. What a bummer. More snow. Shut up, Al. Get in your hole. Al's bickering about his bundt cake, but apparently he gets none. No cake for you. Now, speaking about some of the climate scam, Chileans now experiencing the coldest temperatures in 70 years. How is that even possible in a global warming world? The longest ever recorded, the earliest ever recorded in general, it is that cold in Chile. A 0-degree incursion from June onwards is expected, and people in Chile are freezing before it's even winter. It's winter before winter. And that's a winner chicken dinner.
Sí.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's pissed. All the links will be below. Seismic update. We are in a seismic uptick warning because of a massive coronal hole that will take effect tomorrow, I believe, into just about 24 hours. We had an interesting quake here earlier today. Take a look at this. 2.7 in Kentucky, getting plucky. Worldwide, normal activity. A little bit of an uptick here. Aftershock in Colombia after a 5.2 hit the region earlier today. Hey. Naples rocked by more than 150 earthquakes. We reported on this yesterday. People have been evacuated. They're living in tents, for goodness sakes. Now, do scientists actually think Campi Flegrei will actually erupt anytime soon? Well, I do. I think it will erupt in our lifetimes, but not at a super volcanic scale. But these volcanologists are saying even less. They're saying that it probably won't erupt anytime soon. Whatever that means, I don't know. But the series of tremors on the Campi Flegrei sparked widespread alarm late Monday, and it did damage some buildings, which caused those evacuations. But its last super eruption was 40,000 frickin' years ago. That's quite a long time. That's many, many years. Long before the last mass extinction, which was 12,900 years ago. But in the late 1980s, around 40,000 people were evacuated from the area after a period of intense seismic activity, 5 times greater than this outburst. So right now, there's nothing to be worried about because after the 1980s outburst, 5 times greater than this, which included a 4.2, there was no eruption. So we're waiting for more signs, and the volcanologists here haven't seen any inflation that shows an eruption is imminent, any increased outgassing, or anything like that. There is so many monitors. There are hundreds, if not thousands of monitors on this volcano that I think the amount of people watching it will know ahead of time. And we're watching all of that with them, so you'll know as well before anyone on Earth. Worldwide volcano news update. So we've got the Campi Flegrei supervolcano in the back seat. That is not erupting anytime soon. What's happening today? Well, the first report was Semaru to 15,000 feet, Santiaguito to 15, Popo to 20,000, Liwatobi to 7,000, Ducono to 10,000, Sangay to 20,000, Fuego to 15 today, Sabancaya to 21, Sakurajima to 11,000 feet, Popo to 19, Reventador 14,000 feet, Nevada de Ruiz puffing to 21,000, Liwatobi to 7,000, Santiaguito to 14. Quite a list today. Ducono puffing to 10, Sangay to 20, Fuego ongoing emissions, Sabancaya to 24,000, Liwatobi to 6, Sakurajima to 11 once again, Nevada de Ruiz 22, Reventador, and so on and so forth. Pretty normal activity worldwide. Nothing to get your panties in a bunch. Until we come over to Space Weather News, a large filament is currently stretching across the southeast quadrant. It's so long that it measures 350,000 kilometers in length. And it's transitioning into a prominence off the southeast limb. Every now and then, these plasma-rich features can become magnetically unstable and collapse, leading to an odd-shaped coronal mass ejection. For now, it remains anchored in place, and we have video for you in just a moment. Here was the filament about 10 hours ago, earlier this morning, when they got some good imagery, and we will show you the video of it currently. Take a look at this. It's down here in this region. Okay, let's watch this plasma filament develop from a series of filament cyclones here that are moving around the limb in the southeast quadrant over a period of the last 2 days. What we have here developing, look at it, it's starting to come together in a big single rope. And let's blow this up for you as we get to the most recent footage right here. This is what's happening right now, the most recent telemetry, and I'll pause it right there. Look at the length of this rope. Let me get some of that distance. You can see how it's trying to extend out into space here. Here's that plasma filament. But right before the end here, it is 135,000 kilometers long. That's around the world a few times, for goodness sake. So we're keeping a close eye on that filament for you guys, as we are as worried as anyone, because that could create quite the coronal mass ejection and a huge amount of plasma headed our way. Hey. Here's a funny one. Boeing's Starliner historic crewed launch that we showed was delayed a few days ago has been delayed again indefinitely. Yes. That's how bad Boeing is. A 7-year delay on launching its first manned spacecraft after Elon Musk has launched hundreds of airships into space. They both got the same contract at the same time, and Musk has recycled his initial rocket, 50 times. Who knows? But Boeing has yet to launch a single frickin' astronaut into space. That's how pathetic Boeing is, and their stock continues to go up. Welcome to the scam world. Real science coming in now. Scientists grow diamonds, just like myself, from scratch in 15 minutes thanks to groundbreaking new process. Well, this will lead to more amazing podcasters worldwide, or the collapse of the price of diamonds. Scientists have used a new technique to synthesize actual diamonds, hardness of 10, on the Mohs hardness scale. Hardest thing we know of on Earth that naturally is produced. They've actually produced these diamonds at normal atmospheric pressures and without a starter gem. This is alchemy at its best, which could make the precious gemstones easier to grow in the lab and almost free. Hee. So I hope you didn't stockpile diamonds for your future, because I said silver. UC Irvine-led team uncovers vigorous melting at Antarctic's Thwaites Glacier. And they got funding for it because it has to do with global warming and vigorous melting. It doesn't mean it's actually happening. It means they've got a grant and they wrote a paper and some article was written about it. In fact, the truth is that Antarctic ice is within the 1981 to 2010 median. They just shrunk the range. It's looking completely normal. And the fact that record Antarctic ice, the highest ever recorded, was just a few years ago, means that they're not selling anything to anyone that has a clue. Who knew? Well, now you do. It's all bullshit. Here's another BS sharticle. This is coming from physics.org, which has lost all credibility about 5 years ago. On the trail of global climate change. Volcanism as a driver of the climate in the Carnian crisis. This is all the way back in the Triassic, which launched all of the dinosaurs into effect hundreds of millions of years ago. In fact, this is 233 millions of years ago. And for a period of 2 million years, we had huge volcanic activity on Earth. And they're claiming this CO2 caused the climate change. What they don't realize, it's the SO4. Well, they actually do realize it, but they're not going to get a grant for that. They have to claim it's the CO2 that caused the warming, so they did. This is the problem with science. It's all garbage. This is not worth even a glancing over. It's simply for funding. Now, this is actual science. Researchers succeed for the first time in accurately dating a 7,000-year-old prehistoric settlement using cosmic rays. We recently, in the last decade, learned about these Miyake events, and we're dating more and more of them using tree rings, which preserve the carbon-14 that is generated during these events. And we are well aware of one of the largest Miyake events ever in history, occurring 5,259 BC, which is 7,250, give or take years ago. And what they found is that this structure with all these posts that are made of trees, well, those tree rings date to the exact time of that Miyake event, which dates this region exactly to about 7,000 years ago. Within 2 years, they actually have a date here. It's quite insane. The building activities were dated between 5328 and 5140 BC. So dating techniques are now becoming more accurate in recent dating in the Holocene using tree ring data and cosmic ray data that we now know about from maybe explosions from our star in the form of huge solar plasma events. Lee and I are beginning covering this amazing article that just came out, Toxic Gaslighting. This is from ProPublica. How a 3M executive convinced a scientist the forever chemicals she found in human blood were safe. Well, if you didn't know the story, it's so dystopian, it might make you cry all night. And especially after Leah and I's expose this weekend, Saturday, on Magnetic Reversal News and on Revolution Radio on our radio show. We're going to be covering the topic that decades ago, Chris Hansen, a scientist that you see here on the left of the screen, showed 3M that its PFAS chemicals were in people's bodies. In fact, every blood sample she collected from humans around the world showed PFAS. And then she collected animal blood, and they all showed PFAS. And then we've recently had studies in the last 3 years to show that these PFAS chemicals are in all rainfall worldwide. They're carcinogenic. They cause liver damage, cancers, and more. Problems in pregnancy, cognitive decline in babies, etc., etc. If you want to know where autism comes from, ask 3M. The entire expose will be on Saturday morning, replayed 8 p.m. on Magnetic Reversal News in video form. So go get it and gobble it up. And also gobble up your seeds. Open pollinated non-GMO heirloom seeds from the Alliance of Native Seed Keepers, the cheapest seeds in the entire world. $2 per pack. No GMOs here. No bullshit like Baker Creek. I do digress. Bunch of schmucktards there. Overpricing their seeds, giving you half as much, twice as much for the seeds. And some of them are GMO. That's how stupid you get when you become a big corporation and you make billions of dollars. You don't care about the little guy. You just pump toxic waste into the groundwater and your family fucking drinks it. This is how stupid the people are at 3M. I am so upset about what these companies, Monsanto, 3M, Syngenta, DuPont, all of the garbage giants have done while billionaires make money and the peons suffer. And the peons, I mean 99% of the population. We're not billionaires, folks. We're just the schmucks that drink the water. And that's a boom to knowledge. Please share this video as we are quite pissed at what's going on at 3M and the multinational corporations. Become a Patreon, support the work we do. We love you. Be safe. We're about to take a trip into the desert. Lots of planning coming in the days ahead. We love you. Please support the channel. I won't be able to make as many videos in the coming days as I usually do, and that hits the pocketbook.